Superman. The most powerful being on planet Earth.
We finally meet.
Now, as planned, I'll destroy you. And of course, that reporter you always do interviews with.
Superman, which is now in cinemas, focuses on the tales and events of Superman himself. And as the intro to the film says, you are witnessing the very after moments of his first loss of a battle ever, to the might of Lex Luthor and his cronies. But anyway, Alex, going into this film, what did you know about the previous Superman films and the kind of lore of them? And did this film live up to any expectation at all?
Yeah, so the iconic Superman has been, there's been so many iterations, both bold and soft touches about what he represents, Superman. And this is, the poster, when you look at the poster for this film, it says "It Begins." So it's clearly trying to reinvent or reignite this franchise of Superman. But what I thought it does instead is just reimagines or rehashes an old story or an old concept of Superman, and without doing too much of a good job at it, because this Superman is not so super, let's call it. He's not as strong as we know him to be. But most importantly, what I felt about the character in this film, because it has this film is made by James Gunn, who's made Guardians of the Galaxy, all the 3 films, which are very good and I like them. And those films are superhero films with a bit of a fun side to them. But those characters themselves, those superheroes in Guardians of the Galaxy, are funny by nature, by their creation. Superman is a very serious character from the ground up, and it has humor and romance in the first film peppered here and there just to make a film more enjoyable. This one leans heavily on the humor side and just forgets that noble sense of nobility from a Superman, sense of moral compass, the only person on the planet that knows how to recognize wrong from right. And I felt that this is completely lost in this film. What did you thought, Buzz?
So yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, growing up, I can totally hear where you're coming from. Growing up, Superman is this clear-headed individual who, politically right or wrong, does the right thing, and his morals cannot be questioned. This film here, Superman, just to play devil's advocate, almost seems to be a bit more human than in previous iterations, in that he's a bit childish. He gets a little bit flustered at questions. In the early instance of a film, he has an interview which he seems to get angry and reacting on emotion. And he doesn't. It's almost like he doesn't quite know if he's doing the right thing, and he seems to be confused at certain points. So I do think that was on purpose. Does it ruin the image of Superman? Kind of. Does it make it more genuine? Kind of as well, because I think a lot of people have speculated in the past that Superman's a little bit lame because he can't be defeated. It's a man that can do everything, right? And that's why he has kryptonite, isn't it, to defy him. Whereas in this film, it's rather than kryptonite, it almost just seems to be his intensity of being human that is his kryptonite, and makes him not as the superhero that we once grew up with. Whether that's a bad thing or not, I don't think the film itself takes it very seriously, never mind the Superman in the film. I don't think the film takes up. It is a lot of jokes, of which I enjoyed. And it might have been more enjoyable if maybe the name Superman was disattached to it and it was just another superhero movie. But that being said, I did still like this film quite a lot, and I think even Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, was fantastic in it, and a very good evil villain. And I kind of enjoyed the fact that Superman wasn't this all-defying, indefeatable, inanimate object, really. I don't know how you felt, Alex.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the good parts of the film, one of the two good parts of the film, which I'll come back in a second. But it felt like this Superman is a bit of a goofy Superman because, besides the fact that he can't really make a decision, or everything happens to him instead of him making decisions and trying to do things. It's like the world around him, he exists, and he's defined by this all-powerful human, which he's not really is, because obviously he gets beaten up all the time. But the world in which this film sets is also a bit crazy in my head, because you get thrown into, as an audience, you get thrown into this world where everybody's accepted the existence of these metahumans, but also has accepted the existence of random monsters that can trash a town within a couple of hours. And all they're doing, the way they're reacting, these humans, is having a yogurt or an ice cream and watching the destruction outside their town out the window. That felt a little bit like, okay, I understand that this is trying to be a funny type of film, but it needs to be realistic. And I felt that was completely just distracting in a way of what decision has been made. So is those type of no backstory to anything. We don't know what Lex Luthor is real motives are, or his backstory is. Why has he become such a an evil guy? We don't know about these universe pockets and what's going on inside them, and that prison which is somewhere in between two dimensions, and these other characters, the Justice Gang. We don't know who they are and what's their gang, and all of this stuff is just thrown at you, glued together by CGI, and you're coming out of it just laughing because the jokes. Is that what we're supposed to make out of this film?
Yeah, I hear that point, actually. I think I agree with you. There's a lot of elements to this which is probably in a Superman kind of franchise and lore, as I say, of which maybe you don't understand all of it. I mean, even just the countries involved, the made up countries that were involved, the two that were meant to be going at war, not only did they weren't on planet Earth, first of all. So it's like, well, where are they? And is the Superman, universe, is it meant to be on planet Earth? Because if it is, these countries don't exist. And if so, where do they exist? What continent are they in? This never gets answered. And another thing as well is, I think me and you both viewed that film and said that there's a lot of parallels to, the two countries going to war kind of resembling Israel-Palestine. In terms of one was a big, mighty, futuristic military force, and the other side was, just again, men with sticks, really trying to defend their homeland. Now, there's that, and on the one hand, the president of the country that was invading also, I think, was meant to kind of probably resemble Putin. That might just be my far-fetched opinion, but I think that's it. To me, that was very clear. That and it was almost, that to me was a little bit cringeworthy and not done very well. I know films we watch kind of like to parallel what's going on in the real world, and it makes it relevant. But to me, to put that in a film like this is just a little bit lame, and I don't know who it's trying to appeal to. But I could look past that, and I enjoyed the performances of the Superman and Lex Luthor and even the dog, Kryptonite or whatever they called him. And Crypto. Was it actually Crypto? Okay, that's quite clever. A good currency online then as a dog, yes, but that's all right. But no, so yeah, I could look past all that and I still enjoyed it. But I don't think you share the same sentiment, do you, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand you're right, making a point that conversation when they're talking about Superman's involvement in a war without actually thinking before, because he just went in and said, okay, this country is invading the other country. The invader it needs to be stopped, and then he goes in, and obviously it's a crazy PR crisis for him, for Superman, and that discussion is really good, and that sort of analogy with reality, with modern events, is good to have. But this film is not the right film for it. Like you said, you take such an important topic and you put it in a goofy, cartoonish type of film in the hands of a character that can't really take responsibility or can't really make any strong decisions, and you're just like, throwing away a potentially good narrative into a film that doesn't even follow it afterwards. And when I heard that conversation first, I was okay, this is what I want to see for the rest of the film, because this happens in the first 15 minutes. But within that ends, that discussion dialogue ends, and so does that topic. No more is not even pursued after that. So I was like, okay, great. And then you just get to see this whole mismatch of tonally different, it looks different, it's color different. CGI looked a bit cheap to me, and you know what I'm gonna say, worth the ticket price? Not really, not this time. But for you, probably you'd say it is worth the ticket price just for the fun element. Is that right, Buzz?
Yeah, but only just like it just gets over the finish line for me. And I think another big thing for me is we know the Marvel franchise, we know the Superman, the superhero kind of thing, and yeah, I think we've all seen maybe a bit too much. We're all a bit overdone. I personally haven't seen a superhero movie for a while, at least not in recent memory. I enjoyed this because I usually avoid them. I think I think I'd have to say it's probably Deadpool that I saw most recently, and previous to that was the first Deadpool, not Deadpool versus Wolverine, but so for me it was a little bit like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a superhero movie, I haven't seen it in a while, and it hit the mark really, but that mark is not that high. So to me it gets about 6 out of 10, but it's a strong 6 to put it in the best terms.